And he also has 5+ years of experience working in the tech field in different roles, such as technical support advisor, IT security assistant, web developer, database administrator, full stack developer, etc. There's a lot of roles that he has done. So let's hear from him. And I'm just going to go back. So, Nicholas, tell us about your career journey.
Yeah, sure. My career journey, I think I want to say I started in 2016. 2016 is when I came to Canada for the first time from Dubai, UAE. And I came here as an international student, and most international students, like they want to get into the Canadian job market. They want to learn about it. I was the same. So I tried looking around, but I came to a really small town called Peterborough, where there was already a lot of international students and not enough jobs for them. But during the summer of my first year, I started in a call center, basically doing tech support for Apple. And that was a company called Concentrix. And that's when I started. And I started getting into the tech field with starting at a very junior tech advisor role. And then, and during that time, during university, I was involved in a lot of things. I was involved in, I love playing cricket, and most Indian people do, right? I'm really interested in cricket, and I started a cricket club on campus. I also did a TEDx20, which is the TED conference that everybody knows about now, but an independently run one for Trent University. I also ran for student politics on campus. So basically, I used all these really small, tiny volunteer roles, and some leadership roles, and also having this tech background to get a job, my first summer job in my field, which was a Peterborough Utilities Group, which was basically a utilities provider, but also the government, the municipal government for Peterborough. So that kind of established my field in the public sector very early on. But then, because of that, my next summer, I had another role in a private economic development firm called Stretch Sahara, which is basically a company that works for governments drafting proposals for RFPs and economic development and stuff like that. So I got to learn a lot of these, I want to say, project management, but also at the same time, just my soft skills, how to work in a company, how to behave, and how to act professional, and all of those kind of, I picked up all of those right in my summer job. But then I had other stuff, basically, I did the Peterborough Speakers Hackathon. I organized that, which is called EC Hacks. And as well as with that, I had my other on-campus jobs. I landed a job in the housing department at Trent, which was basically a lot of data entry jobs. So those were my very initial years. But along with that, I had good academic performance. I had a good academic relation with my professors and stuff, which helped me land a teaching assistant job with a professor of mine. I used to do a lot of grading for him and take some labs, a lot of those kind of helping the professor out. So I kind of built up this portfolio of things right when I was about to graduate from school. But right after that, my bad luck was I graduated just 2 months after COVID had hit. So I was getting into the industry where everybody was being let out, and a lot of basically it was one of the hardest times to get into the industry at that time. So I took up a small. So I was basically at that point ready to take up whatever I could get, but in my field. So I took up a small job with a company called Tawuga. It's a small web development, IT development company in Peterborough itself. But I did that for, I want to say, 1 month or so. And very soon, just with the COVID layoffs, I got laid off too. And it was the hardest time of my life. I just got into the industry, and in 1 month, the industry chewed me out. But yeah, I kind of worked on my skills, and I kept relations, with networking relations with LinkedIn and stuff like that. And I ended up getting a job in the education sector, which was the school board of Peterborough, which is it's a really long name, but I would say Catholic School Board of Peterborough, and that's where I was the first database administrator. And then I was there for a year. Heavy programming job, heavy development job. But a year after, I took one of the biggest steps of my life of saying I'm going to leave the stable job and take on a contract position to go back to Trent University and work for them. I did that for a year, or I want to say less than a year because it was a year contract, but I want to say within 6 to 7 months, I got promoted to being a full stack developer. And it was basically the same role, but more programming, but a permanent unionized position at Trent. And then, even though I was a developer, we didn't have a manager at the time. So I used to do a lot of managerial jobs, even though it was not in my portfolio. So I built up this things in my portfolio, and then leveraged it for a job here at University of Guelph Humber to become the manager of that position. But I also had trouble getting into the management field because I never had experience with managerial stuff before. So it was very surprising because I got reached out on LinkedIn by a person who said, "Hey, do you want to be a professor at this time?" And I said, that's different. It's not like I've been climbing up the corporate ladder. I never thought about going back to academics, but I said, sure, let's give it a try. And and I did that for a semester. I taught students in software design and data science, and then decided and that kind of helped me gain those managerial skills along with the academic side of things, which led to my position today with web services manager. I'm still on contract with Seneca for being a professor, but I'm on a long-term, I want to say leave kind of situation, so I can focus on my Master of Management.
Wow.
That's been my journey.
That's a lot of positions. It's aspiring, going from the summer jobs and all the way to what you're doing now. It's very aspiring. And how did you know that this field, it was a good career choice for you?
Surprising enough, a lot of people don't know this about me, is when I actually first came to Trent University, I was a forensic science student. I was doing nothing related to computer science. I did that for almost up to my third year. I was switching. I started with forensics, and then I kind of said, I want to do forensics but computer science together. So I did a double major, and then it was up until my fourth year when I decided that I'm going to leave the forensic science completely and just going to take on computer science as my main focus of study. But yeah, when I actually realized that was, again, when I came to my fourth year, almost somewhere between after I completed my first summer job at Peterborough Utilities and doing my hackathon, the first EC hacks, Electric City hacks, because I got to see a lot of people developing and taking 36 hours and really focusing and creating a project from start to finish. That was just looking at that and getting some knowledge about programming from my first summer job, gave me a lot of inspiration to say, I want to go ahead and this is what I want to do. That's when I said, this is my focus, and I'm going to, I even switched my specialization at that point to software engineering because I was so in love with coding at that point.
Oh, that's very interesting. Wow, from forensic to computer science.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you start in your career? I think you kind of answered that, but would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, again, same thing. A lot of the start of my career started because of one, like the hunt for actually like the hunger for being into the Canadian market as an international student, like a lot of people do, but also, just I was always like, I was never a learner by textbook. Like I never wanted to just read textbooks and pass an exam. I was more of an applying person. So I was always involved with something or the other in the university. Like I was always in the extracurriculars. Like either that's doing the TED conference or student politics or hackathons or just a lot of those that I was involved in. Which I didn't realize was just adding on to my portfolio when I wrote my resume.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah, I
great.
think that was the start of my career.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Networking and building those extracurricular is very helpful for your career.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would be like the biggest career risk that you have taken, and how did you manage it?
Well, like I said, my biggest risk that I've taken is, you know, as it was during the time of like COVID had just hit. There was so much like layoff in the industry. Like people were finding it hard to get a job, and midst of all of that, I had somehow managed to get a well-paying unionized position with benefits and everything. It was a good position for me, and even with that, a disruptive industry, disruptive market, I just said I'm going to take the risk to go back. And I think one of the reasons was, it was just Greenwich University to me speaks differently because I've spent 4 years of my life there and even like spent a lot of my life there. So there's so much. So much going at Trent that I said, this is where I want to work at. So I took that biggest risk and said, I'm going to leave all these benefits that come with my job, and I'm going to take a contract position. And hopefully, with a big if that hopefully that this would convert into something better.
Wow. And since we are talking about your job, like your current job, so like what does your day-to-day look like? Like what type of technologies do you use?
So I want to say in the last few months, the kind of job or how my day looks has completely changed. If you would have asked me 2 months ago, I would say I was very heavy in development, a heavy coder. Used to write a lot of code and maintain it, develop it, all of those kind of stuff. But currently, I think my day mostly looks into management. I'm mostly like there, either building plans and designs and infrastructure projects, like just working around it. A lot of meetings with potential vendors, and as you know, I work for University of Guelph Humber, which that is this University of Guelph and Humber College coming together to form this. So we kind of have two parent organizations that's under us. So I'm just like talking to those partners all the time. I'm maintaining making sure our data is secure and just like speaking with our CIOs and CIOs of our partners. And yeah, just a lot of, and just looking at the bigger picture of stuff, as well as managing a team. I'm managing a team of myself 2 months ago, which is full stack developers. So so right now I'm doing a lot of big picture management stuff, but that's how my day looks now. And the technologies that I use, I want to say currently email. I'm just writing a lot of emails and Zoom. I'm using a lot of Zoom, but on the more development tech end, I'm more on the Drupal side of things. Drupal is our website CMS system. I work with PHP, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, of course, Docker, a lot of database management systems like MySQL. Yeah, the list is endless.
And like, what would be the biggest challenge in the tech industry for you?
I think currently, I want to say the biggest challenge in the tech industry right now is having people stay at one job. And lot of the times, what we see is like with my team, we have a lot of people join in and they quit very immediately because, as you know, how the tech industry has kind of changed in the last 10 years now. Because back in the day, there was a lot of people who wanted to get into the tech industry, but right after COVID hit and after all this, like there's a lot of demand for people, but there's not enough supply of tech industry people because nobody's like everybody's taking a little bit of experience and moving on to something better, including me. But so that's basically what is the biggest challenge right now as an organization that I'm facing is like having people stay at an organization and keep their legacy running for a long time. So we can depend on them for a certain kind of code, certain type of development projects and stuff like that. And because people are not staying there, the other kind of challenge that I'm left behind with is people working on half-built projects and left it behind, so which we call legacy code. It's like, because usually when code is built, it's like you take ownership of it, and mostly like a next developer coming in might not completely understand your code or might be able to continue with it. That's at least the way how public sector works. So that's been a challenge. So when people leave, like their code is left behind, which is unusable, and we can't maintain it anymore. So now we have to redo the project all over. So a lot of legacy code left behind. So that's the biggest challenge I want to say that the tech industry is at least facing right now.
Thank you for sharing that. So now we can move on to like finding work. Like, what was your biggest challenge finding work, and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge that I want to say that I was finding with work, or I want to say this at least like most people find, is that there's a fine line between being underqualified and overqualified for something. And when you apply with a generic resume, like saying these are the list of my skills, these are the list of my this is my cover letter or whatever, and then you send it to a company, you either fall into this overqualified list or you fall in this underqualified list. So there's this very fine line that you need to fall into to be the perfect. And that was my biggest challenge as well. Like when I was applying, like right after I graduated, or even when I lost my first job, and was applying to multiple companies, and I wasn't getting as many callbacks from people. So that's when I realized this fine line. And then how I overcome it is, and this is kind of my suggestion for people out there finding jobs, is always cater your resume to what's written there in the responsibilities. Just read the entire job posting, because there's the responsibilities side, and then there's the qualification side. A lot of people just read the qualification and say, I'm either qualified for this or not. But there's also the responsibilities side, which you can always read, and then cater your resume towards the responsibilities that you're going to do. And that's what I did too. Like I used to either change my resumes often so I could send those to the and cater it to them, or change my cover letter to explain more about my project in the way that explains the responsibilities or qualifications that they're looking for.
Yeah. I think it's very important too, because like you said, we only like when we look at the qualifications, you focus more on that. But it's good to just tailor it to also the responsibilities, because that's what you'll be going to be doing in the job.
Yeah. That's the thing, because a lot of times what I noticed was companies asking for 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience for like, I don't know, an entry level job sometimes. And they're asking for these huge, I know, certification exams that you need to have with you. But really, when now that I'm on the other side of it and I'm hiring people, I see that a lot of things, those kind of things become kind of irrelevant on the big picture side of things. When you actually have a list of resumes and you don't have those many quality applicants or people who have these uh, boxes checked, then you always go down the list and you say, okay, what can I settle with? So that's what I think a lot of recruiters are doing too. Is like they're going with like, it's fine that they don't have this, but then you can settle with this. So always just go on and try to cater your resume and cover letter to the responsibilities. So because that's what you're going to be doing at the end of the day. It's not the qualification. Like people will always recruiters are always ready to overlook qualifications, but they want to make sure that you can actually do the job that you're applying for.
That's a great point. Like, what qualities do you need to succeed, and what would help a candidate to stand out in the tech field?
Yeah, so I would say not just tech field, but also in overall skills. Like focus most on the soft skills of an employee of yourself or something. It's because your technical skills, like no matter Java or PHP or Python or whatever, that's good for you. But if you don't have the soft skills to show a recruiter or show your manager that you're actually able to survive in an enterprise system, you're not able to survive in a corporate environment, then that's already a no for you. Because right now, as you know, like when the tech industry was booming, everybody went into computer science. Everybody knows some level of technical skill. Everybody knows some level of coding, but there's very little people that know how to work in a corporate structure, how to follow chain of commands, how to just how to behave in a corporate environment. So that's I would say focus more your you should focus more on. And as well, I would say because technical skills, like companies always have budgets allocated for training. So if you have a few things that's lacking, they are always ready to train. But if you don't have the soft skills, if you don't have the personality, we can't train. So I would say always focus on the soft.
Yeah, for sure. And like, what kind of research that did you had to like prepare for your current role?
I mean, again, I would say for my current role as well, like I went back to looking at the responsibilities than my technical skills, right? And mostly because one, I was applying for a management position, but at the same time, I'm the first time manager. I've never had a team before. I've never managed anyone before. So if I say I've never been a manager before, like nobody's gonna hire me. So I had to cater my resume and my cover letter looking at what are the things that a management role needs. What are the things that a manager does usually. And I did some research on that, and I catered my resume to say I've done certain level of management stuff in these jobs, so I can highlight those more. Even though it says like I've done a full stack developer job, under my description of that job, I would put more of like I managed a bunch of students, or I managed my own projects, or I did my projects from A to Z, like those kind of stuff, instead of boasting that I worked on Java or I worked on this thing. So basically, even if I've done a non-management job, I still catered my resume to say that I've done certain amount of responsibilities that this job needs in my other jobs. And you can always find it, like because I strongly believe that there's no one job that says, if they say you're doing these number of stuff, like n number of stuff, you're following the same number. you're always doing more than what your job is asking you for. So you can always find things in your day-to-day stuff that you're doing that's probably not written in your list of responsibilities that you can highlight.
No, that's a great point. And like, what advice would you give to others starting a similar journey with networking and job searching, or especially if they're switching job fields?
Yeah, I think a good advice. I think I could give you two advices, I guess. One thing is we live in a society in Canada which we kind of say as Canadian niceness. Like we are always nice to people. We don't want to put people like in an uncomfortable situation. But I would say go ahead and ask those uncomfortable questions. Like go ask for people. Like if you think like you have a question about a job and it might be a little uncomfortable for a recruiter or for a manager, go ahead and ask that. The worst that you're going to get out of it is a no or sorry, I can't answer this. But if you do get an answer back, that's going to be a huge point for you to succeed in the future. So go ahead and ask those uncomfortable questions. Uh, and the other thing I would say is uh, look for opportunities outside of like the big cities. Like usually people when they want to find opportunities, they try to like go for the big cities. They go for Toronto, they go for New York, and they go for the big cities. But what they don't realize is, yes, you can find jobs in big cities, but there's also a lot of competition out here. But the same thing, if you are ready to have a lifestyle in smaller cities like in, say, Peterborough, uh, there's not much competition. There are a lot of jobs out there, especially in public sector, as well as some private local companies where you can start your career from. Like there's a lot of jobs out there, and you can apply to them, and there's not much competition. So especially in those areas, in those small towns, recruiters are most likely to settle with less responsibilities if you have the soft skills.
Actually, a great point. I never thought about that. That's a good point. I'm just going to ask a few like concluding questions, and then uh, the youths can ask you more if they have any questions. So, if you were to do over any of your career choices, what would it be and why?
Um, so this is a tricky question to me. Really, you know, there's not a lot of things that I would have said that I wish I could redo, at least in my short career that I've had. But if I really had to pinpoint, I would say I would have liked to stay at Trent University for longer because again, like I have so much of a connection with them, and um, just I would have liked to stick with uh, my dream company or something. But again, I would still say it was a good choice of moving outside because um, sometimes a lot of people get stuck in this dream job scenario where like I want to work for Google, I want to work for Amazon, and then you get that job and you're stuck there without growth, and you're doing the same job again and again. And you're not happy. So uh, I that's what was happening with me. Like I was at my dream job, at my dream company, but I was being bored doing the same job again and again, and yeah. So I think I would have liked to stay at Trent, but I think it was an okay decision for me to leave.
Yeah, and is there like anything else that you'd like to share with us?
No, I think I shared a lot.
Yeah, thank you for answering all my questions. Yeah, it was really like inspiring to see like from like I said from like going from different roles and the decisions you made, taking risk, and the advice that you have given. Thank you so much for that. So now I'm just going to open the floor to our youths. So if you guys have any questions, you can unmute yourself or raise your hand or use the chat button feature, and then you can ask them any questions you like. Yeah, John?
So my question is, what do you think the best way? What do you think is the best way to outline on your resume how like your soft skills and stuff like that? Because I think I've been more focused on outlining or defining my technical skills, and I feel like that's I feel I've taken into account the soft skills, but I feel like they don't put like it's like the technical skills that will get you to the interview, and then the interviews where you can show your soft skills. But I think from listening to you, I think that recruiters are taking into account the soft skills from the start too. So, what do you think is a good way to outline soft skills on your resume?
Yeah, so well, there are two ways. Like now that I'm looking at resumes, there's one clear way is like I've seen people who have done a whole section for soft skills and they've listed them, which is nice, but I kind of feel like it's trying too hard to show me that you have soft skills. So, but my suggestion to that would be, so if you have 5 bullet points under your experience, say under a certain experience you have 5 bullet points. If you put 4 of them with technical skills, maybe put your last point with something around the soft skills that you've done. Like say like I've worked in vendor management, like I've talked to different vendors and talked to different companies and talked to different people in the past. Or say something like I've done project management in the past, like I handled timelines and I did a lot of like managing, make sure my project was finished within my timeline or within my budget or something like that. So it's like just mostly mention in each of your experience, like if you have whatever number of points, just have one point in that mentions your soft skills or explains how you handled one project, not on the technical point of view, but more on the project management, more on the soft skill point of view. Hope that answers it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
I just had one question, or kind of just like a comment. I love the part how you said that even if they don't have all the qualifications, that you will still hire them because of their personality. And I think that's so important. Like I feel like people focus so hard on getting this, but then they forget to be themselves during the interview. So yeah, so when you were hiring, have you ever hired someone that didn't have the qualification or didn't have like the exact qualifications, but you hired them because of their personality?
Yes, of course. Like currently, recently I was hiring for a senior full stack developer position, and usually in this it's a very senior role, and we have a huge number of skill set that we are looking for on the technical side of things. But I've never got a resume that highlighted all the skills that I'm looking for. So of course I had to settle with it and say like, okay, I like this person. I like how they presented themselves in an interview, just like how they were talking to me. And mostly at the end of the day, more than the technical skills, what I am looking for is like, am I actually able to manage this person? Like, can I actually work well with this person, or will this person match the rest of the team's dynamics? Like, that's mostly what I'm looking for than the exact technical skills that's there. Because the ultimate point of me hiring someone is that I want them to stay with my team as long as possible, and then leave a legacy behind with them, instead of like they come here for some time because they have the technical skills and then they leave. And the other important point that you probably want to note is if there's one hiring manager that makes the decision, but usually when you get into an interview, you are with a panel of interviews, and usually the panel is not from the exact team, it's not from the exact background that the job is hiring for. So for example, when I hire for a very technical position like a senior full stack developer, I have on my interview panel people from HR, I have people from marketing, I have people from finance, like these people know nothing about the technical aspect, and they're mostly here to judge the personality behind the people than the tech skills. The only person in that room that's judging their tech skills is the manager. So.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I've been through those panels, and I'm just like, why is this person interviewing me when they're not even in like where I'm going to be working with them directly? Yeah, so that makes so much sense. For like the networking part, like on LinkedIn specifically, do you find it helpful, like personally messaging the recruiters and the HR? Have you had any like success with that?
Well, I've had that's a different question to ask me because I've never actually messaged or reached to people before. On my LinkedIn, I've only been reached out to.
Wow.
So I've yeah, but I think LinkedIn itself is a very, very powerful tool in networking. And honestly, feel free, just being on the other side of it, like feel free to cold message people, and if they're interested, they will reach out. So like, I get at least 10 to 15 messages in a week from different recruiters saying that I have this or I have this opportunity. I don't reply to everybody, but like if I see something that's interesting, I will reply. So again, like that's probably how most people operate as well. Is like feel free to cold message somebody. If they're interested, they will text back to you. But if you're not going to do it, then you're not going to get a response at all.
Thank you.
And from Natasha, what is your next goal for your career?
I think my next goal is maybe just climbing up the corporate ladder. Probably move on to more directorial or vice president role. Same in IT. I have realized I cannot manage people outside of IT because that's how my mind works. But that's probably my next goal. But also, I do want to explore my academic side of things, and I want to see if being a professor or being more on the academic side of things will work out in my favor. But the clear path for me right now is just climbing up the corporate ladder.
And that's great. Like at such a young age, you are accomplishing many things. That's great. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, Preeta?
Hi, what are some of the challenges of being in an information security role?
Challenges of most of my challenges on the security end of things is mostly just the policies, and because there's a lot of like each organization, especially if you're working in the public sectors, we are filled with policies. A lot of drafts that say you can't share this or you can't share this or whatever. Like there's a lot of those exact rules, and when you are working in a more I want to say like a web developer, or when your team is working more on the role web development, that's one of the biggest challenges we face is that we have to, we have this data with us, but still have to maintain the integrity of that policy and do as what the policies say. And sometimes we, of course, don't follow everything to the T, and there's stuff that we use data for where we're not supposed to, but I do face that as one of the biggest challenges, especially when you come into big organizations like working for government, working for universities, colleges, and stuff like that. There's a massive load of documentation and policy documentation, especially. I would say even one document would be like 150 pages long where I'm not able to read all. So yeah, following everything to the T is really hard. But again, my background is not in security. So usually what I do is when I when I am faced with those, I either reach out to HR or I reach out to the chief information officer of the partners of that institution and say, hey, I have this data and this is what I'm planning to do. Is this okay to do per the collective agreement, per your policy statements?
Thank
And
you.
they usually tell me yes or no, and sometimes I do it, sometimes I do it despite they say no. So,
Thank you. That was informative.
Do we have any other questions for Nicole? Okay, so Sharmeen, go ahead.
I don't know. I was gonna say yeah. I guess that's good.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nikhil, for coming and just taking your time out of your busy schedule, to answer your questions and just being here. Thank you so much for that, and thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. It was so informative. I actually learned so much too.
thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, just being in that different being a recruiter manager and also being in different roles from the other like IT things like that. It was very informative, and I thought it was also like inspiring to have different jobs and learn so much. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, and hope you have a great day and take care.
Okay.
Just before we leave, I just wanted to say I'll put my LinkedIn profile in the chat. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. I will answer you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.